What happens when you buy the house of your dreams and you start receiving weird letters? This is what happened to the Broaddus family when they moved into 657 Boulevard. This story is also the basis of the popular show on Netflix called The Watcher. If you guys haven't seen it, I recommend it. Though I would say there are a lot of things in the show which aren't accurate to what actually happened. I make content about animal attacks, disappearances, murders, and paranormal incidents. If you like content like this, I would appreciate if you like and subscribe. If not, I want to improve the quality of these videos. I would appreciate it if you guys let me know down below what you thought. Did you like the video or did you not like the video? If so, why? What can I do better? In early 2014, Derek and Maria Broaddus' kids were growing, and they needed to move to a larger home. One of the homes they ended up seeing was 657 Boulevard. It was an absolute dream home with 6 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. For the Broadduses, buying 657 Boulevard had fulfilled a dream. Maria was raised in Westfield, and the house was a few blocks from her childhood home. Derek grew up working class in Maine, then moved his way up the ladder at an insurance company in Manhattan to become a senior vice president with a salary large enough to afford a $1.36 million home. As soon as they knew the house was theirs, they decided to do some interior renovations. A few days after the closing, Derek had just finished an evening of painting in his new home when he decided to go outside to check the mail. Derek wasn't expecting much in terms of mail because they had just moved in. There wasn't much in the mail except a few bills and a white card-shaped envelope. It was addressed in thick, clunky handwriting to, quote-unquote, the new owner. The letter stated,
"Dearest new neighbor at 657 Boulevard, allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood. 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades now, and as it approaches its 110th birthday, I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched it in the 1960s. It is now my time. Do you know the history of the house? Do you know what lies within the walls of 657 Boulevard? Why are you here? I will find out. I see already that you have flooded 657 Boulevard with contractors so that you can destroy the house as it was supposed to be. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Bad move. You don't want to make 657 Boulevard unhappy."
Quick interjection, guys. I don't think this is the original first letter. I'm reading an article from The Cut, which was the very first article posted on The Watcher. So based on that, there was a little bit more mentioning about the kids, and I did find another letter online which does include that portion. So I'm going to read that portion off to you guys.
Who am I? There are hundreds and hundreds of cars that drive by 657 Boulevard each day. Maybe I am in one. Look at all the windows you can see from 657 Boulevard. Maybe I am in one. Look out any of the many windows in 657 Boulevards at all the people who stroll by each day. Maybe I am one. You have children. I've seen them. So far I think there are 3 that I've counted. Do you need to fill the house with the young blood I requested? Better for me. Was your old house too small for the growing family? Or was it greed to bring me your children? Once I know their names, I will call to them and draw them to me.
Derek immediately felt a sense of fear, as if someone was watching him. The time was past 10 p.m., and he was the only person in the house. He immediately ran to check the windows and turn off all the lights to make sure that no one could see inside the house. Derek didn't know if someone was watching him at the moment. Was this a prank? It sounded too real to be a prank. After turning off all the lights, Derek called the cops. After a few minutes, an officer arrived at the house. He was then invited inside by Derek, and he read the letter. And he said, "What the F is this? Do you have any enemies?" Derek mentioned none that he could think of that would do something like this. The officer then did a sweep of the home to make sure no one was there. He noticed construction equipment on the back porch. He recommended to Derek to move these pieces so that no one can use them to break in. Once the officer had left, Derek rushed to get out of the home as well. His wife and kids were staying at their old place, which was also located in Westfield. Once he got back to his old place, he quickly showed his wife the letter he had received. She too was shocked by this. They immediately thought of reaching out to the previous owners of 657 Boulevard, which were John and Andrea Woods, to ask if they had any idea who the watcher might be or why he or she had written,
"I asked the Woods to bring me young blood, and it looks like they listened."
Andrea Woods replied the next morning, saying a few days before moving out, the Woods had also received a letter from the Watcher. The note had been odd, she said, and made similar mention of the Watcher's family observing the house over time. But Andrea said she and her husband had never received anything like it in their 23 years in the house, and had thrown the letter away without much thought. That same day, both the Woods and the Broaddus's decided to go to the police together. There they met with a detective named Leonard Lugo. After discussing the letter, he told the Broadduses not to mention this to anyone, as this had to be from someone who spent much time watching the house, so it made all of their new neighbors suspects. In order to make everything seem like it was alright, the Broadduses decided to spend some time in the house, but they made sure to keep a very close eye on the kids whenever they went outside. Derek had to go on a work trip coming up as well. With everything going on, he decided to cancel. One time while he was at the house, he decided to give a couple from his neighborhood a tour of the new renovations that was getting done. As they were walking, the wife stated, "It will be nice to have some young blood in the neighborhood." At that, Derek froze. This concludes the first part in the True Watcher story. Once again, be careful, be safe, be aware.